Welcome, everybody, to Roar Stories. I'm John Merrill Kirkman, and many of you know me as the host of Walking with the Savior podcast, where I've interviewed Christians in their journey with Jesus Christ. But today, I'm proud to be the guest host of Roar Stories, sponsored by extendtherose.org. Each Rose story is housed in the beautiful Roar Gallery on YouTube channel, where everyday victories plant seeds of hope for others. Because the human race was never meant to be run alone, and hope is a team sport. Here in the gallery, we believe in something simple. Hope is the one thing that multiplies when you give it away. When life is hard, we roar and we never give up. Roar is simple, never give up formula. R for rise in the moment. O, face the obstacles. A, take action that moves you forward. R for roar, and celebrate the results so someone else knows victory is possible too. Every story in the gallery follows that path, and today we're adding another legacy of hope to this gallery. Before we meet today's guest, if you believe that hope should be shared, please hit subscribe and share this episode with a friend, family member, somebody that needs some hope in their life. It's the simplest way to help someone else find the fuel they need to keep on going. And today we have an amazing guest. We are here to hear from Ian. Ian, introduce and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, John. Thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be here. My name is Ian Bowen, and I am a success coach. I'm a motivational speaker, keynote speaker, also in my pedigree, I guess, a fitness professional, and I am excited to be here on the show. So thank you again.
Now, I know Ian's story. I am fascinated to hear this story, and he's a professional speaker and shares this story from all over the world. So we are excited to hear this story today. So Ian, tell us a little bit about your victory that you're proud of, big or small, and what did it take for you to rise to that moment?
The victory that I'm the most proud of is being able to achieve something that was supposed to be unattainable, that was, per medical experts, not supposed to be possible. And that is about 17 years ago, I was diagnosed with a very rare disease called neurosarcoidosis. Now, the only way to be able to diagnose that disease was that my neurosurgeon and neurologist had to go in and take a biopsy of my spinal cord, which is where I was growing a lesion very rapidly. And with that surgery, that paralyzed me from the chest down. Now, this is something I knew going in was a potential result, as they told me this is a very risky surgery. We need to know what we're dealing with, because at that time, we knew that we had something growing, not on my spinal cord, but inside of my spinal cord. But we didn't know if it was a tumor that could have been cancer or if it was this lesion causing neurosarcoidosis. So they had to do the surgery to figure out which course of action to take. So knowing that going in that I could be paralyzed for the rest of my life, I took that risk because we needed to know what was going on. So when I woke up from that surgery, it was good news, Mr. Bowen. It's not cancer. It was neurosarcoidosis like we thought it was. Bad news, from the chest down, I was gone. No feeling, no sensation, no movement, no nothing. Now, being 32 years old and having two small children, my daughter was 6, my son was 1, that was life-changing, as you can imagine. And when the doctors came in to talk to me a couple of days later, just to kind of check in and see how I was doing, and started to talk about my prognosis, they said, okay, Ian, we think that you're going to be able to walk again, but you're going to need some sort of durable medical equipment, cane, walker, crutches. Now, I've been an athlete all of my life, and I had just recently started running about a year prior, started running 5Ks and things of that nature. So I don't know if I was in shock still, or I just didn't want to accept the reality, because my response to what they told me was, well, am I ever going to run again? Mm-hmm. And that's when they told me no. And in that moment, something in my heart and something in my head said, watch me. And that is where my mindset came to save my life, because I could have easily taken what they said as the truth. And if I would have done that, I would most likely still be in my wheelchair, still be using a walker. So to this day, if there's any message that I can put out there that anyone gets from listening or watching this podcast, is that never let someone else's perception of your capabilities become your reality.
Mm.
And since then, that fight back to being able to regain the ability to stand, to regain the ability to walk, I've eventually became a fitness professional. I started to train people. I've actually now have run 2 marathons, multiple half marathons, many 5Ks. And I don't say that to impress anybody, but I say that to impress upon you the capabilities of what you are able to achieve. Because what I know now, and as I've been speaking and as I've been coaching and as I've been seeing people make amazing transformations, is that when you have this, your mindset, knowing that you can, and your heart set, having the conviction that you will, when those two things are in alignment, John, you are on fire and you are unstoppable. And that is what I talk about. That is what I teach. That is what I do workshops on. That is what I coach. Because I don't know if you can see this or not, but on my shirt, I truly believe this, that mindset is everything. Because we are more powerful than we know. And so many people need to hear that message. They need to understand that. For the longest time, when I would listen to speakers and mentors of mine that would say that you already have everything within you, I would kind of take it as, okay, that's some foo-foo fluff, whatever. But it's so true. It is so true. You already have everything you need within you. You just need to believe it.
So, what's one quick example of an action that you can inspire people today? Give them a tool of practice that would help
Sure.
them to dial in their mindset, like you talk about right here. Mindset
Absolutely.
is going to help us overcome those obstacles. Can you give us a strategy?
I will give you 5 examples, and that is my rinse framework that I teach from. And rinse stands for R, and that R is for remember. And that is for remember when you come up against obstacles in life and challenges in life, remember what you have achieved before. Remember that you've had success before. You've been in hard positions before and you were able to achieve success. So remembering what we've been able to do in the past allows us to realize what we can achieve in the future. And then the I, that stands for imagine. And this is something that I really had a lot of time to develop while I was in the hospital for about 4 weeks, paralyzed in my hospital bed and have much else to do. So my imagination is what really set me free. It allowed me to dream with great detail in what my goal was. So I was crystal clear on what I wanted to achieve. When you're able to imagine and visualize what you want to achieve in the future, you start to pull it towards you. And what I mean by that is when you start to obsess about it, when you start to imagine about it, it's what you dream about when day in and day out, you start to notice things, you start to hear things that you wouldn't have before because now you're paying attention. Your brain is saying, what am I looking for to help me? So using your imagination is so important. And then as you're on your journey moving forward, as you are fighting back against this challenge, fighting back against this adversity in your life, take the time to notice your small wins. And that's what the N stands for. So many times we are looking forward, always looking forward. And then we get down on ourselves. We get hard on ourselves because we're not making enough progress or we're not moving fast enough. But when we take the time to look back at all the small wins that we're actually doing along the way, that gives us the momentum to continue to push forward. So don't forget to allow yourself to pat yourself on the back. Give yourself some grace. Notice the amazing things that you're doing, big and small. They're, actually moving you forward. And then there's the S, because when you start to do that, when you start to realize that you actually are making progress, now you're shifting your mindset. And that's what the S is all about. That is about focusing on the things that you can do and not the things that you can't do. Focusing on how capable you are, holding yourself capable, and knowing that if I continue to put the work in, eventually I will win. And it is not over until I win. Having that shift in mindset is the thing that's going to help you push yourself forward, pull you out of bed when you don't want to do the things that you know you need to do, but you don't feel like doing them. But when you're able to shift your mindset into that, I can do this, I will do this, I must do this. You now have that mindset to overcome whatever comes in your way. Now, all of this has to deal with positivity, but I want to bring the E in here in rinse. And that is expect. And that's a two-sided word, we'll say, because we need to expect on this journey of it, fighting against adversity that is going to be difficult. We need to expect there are going to be more challenges along the way, because it's not a question of if it's going to be hard. It's a question of when it's going to get hard. But when we can expect it to be hard, we have now created that mental toughness. So when it does come, we're not surprised by it. Life doesn't get to knock us on the floor when we are expecting it to be difficult. When it does come, we can say to ourselves, I expected this to happen. Now I need to dig in a little bit harder. But on the other side of that is expect to win. Have that mindset that no matter what, I am going to succeed. The thing that I want to achieve is so important to me that I will not stop until I achieve it. I will not stop until it's done. And when you're able to use that framework for whatever situation you have, whatever problem stands in your way, that will help you break it down, and that will help you break through it to be able to move on and get the success that you're after.
Ooh, man, that's some good stuff. Rinse. Let me see if I can quiz myself, okay, right now. Rinse. Remember, yes. I for, give me a clue. Imagine. Use that mind to create your future. Just feel it, soak it in. And
notice your small wins along the way.
Notice the small wins, celebrate them. That's like me. I did it. I got out of bed. I made my bed. I did a burpee.
Awesome.
So notice the small wins. S for shift your mind.
Correct. You want to shift that mindset.
And then E to expect. Expect it's going to be hard, but expect to win. Woo! I love that, brother. Good stuff. I got to write that down. I'm going to put that into practice. And I love that. So what would you say to someone who's still in the fight right now? What would you say to someone still in the fight right now, facing that adversity, that struggle?
I would say that you definitely need to remember that you are more powerful than you know. And in those darkest hours, those darkest days, when it seems like all is for naught and that nothing's working, know that your greatest success is on the other side of that adversity. There have been many days in my rehab journey where I felt the woe is me's. Why is this happening to me? Why did I have to go through this? What did I do to deserve this? This isn't fair. And I acknowledged those feelings, but then I had to let them go because they didn't serve me. They did nothing for me. All they were doing was holding me back, keeping me stuck. And in order for me to make a comeback from my setback, I had to shift that mindset into thinking about what can I do right now in this moment? What can I do with what I have where I am right now? And take that small step. Because we know that small victories over time, if we stack them up, they turn into big ones. So I would say to anyone who's listening right now, don't give up. Continue to move forward, even when it's in the dark. Continue to move forward, because eventually you will find yourself in the light.
I kind of bounce off your idea there, expect a comeback from the setback.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Well, that truth just shared is exactly why extendtherose.org exists. It's about being a champion for others. And speaking of being a champion, Champ Month is next month, April 2026. This episode of Roar Stories is brought to you by extendtherose.org. You've heard me say that hope is a team sport. Every April, we take the team onto the field for Champ Month, a national moment to visibly cheer for children and families in hospitals so they know that they are not alone. During April, we flood the world with a sea of yellow. People across the country wear yellow as a visible reminder that we are cheering on children and families who are fighting hard battles in hospitals. You can join us by wearing the Never Give Up wristband, or a yellow Champ Month shirt. Visit extendtherose.org/champ to learn more and join the movement, because everyone needs a champion. We're back with Ethan Owen, reflecting on what you shared. Something that stands out is this, just the idea that we all have something to remember. It reminds me of David Goggins. He talks about hero bars. Have you ever heard that? Mm-hmm. That kind of becomes his fuel to overcome the next obstacle. And what he talks about is when he thinks about the accomplishments he's had in the past, when he faces another obstacle, as he eats that hero bar, that obstacle that he overcame in the past, that gives him the mental mindset and the capacity to face it. And so it's fascinating that you start with remember. Why do you feel remembering our past obstacles that we've overcome is so important, Ian?
So when you use that word fuel, John, that's exactly right. We're able to remember what we've done before, and not just the physical part of it, the emotional side of it. We can tap into how we felt when we succeeded before. We can start to fire and wire those same thoughts for what we're about to achieve in the future. So when we have that attachment, not only physically, but emotionally, we start talking about neuroplasticity, right? We start talking about firing new pathways in the mind and remembering how we felt before. We can start to now harness that power, harness that remembrance, that fuel again, to be able to go to work and start to put that same passion, energy, what we did before into what we're trying to achieve now. I talk about it like it's we carry around a metaphysical backpack, right? And when we come up against adversity and challenges, when we succeed, we have now created a tool, whatever that was, whether it was physical, emotional, spiritual, we utilize something to help us get past that block. Now that's a tool we carry with us. We put it in our metaphysical backpack. We have it with us for the rest of our lives. And the next time we come up against a challenge, we reach into our metaphysical backpack, we pull out that tool, and we go to work. Because it's something that we did before. We look into ourselves. We remember what we did before, how powerful we were before. And when we accomplish the success against that next challenge that we have, guess what? We've just created another tool that we put into our metaphysical backpack that we carry with us at all times. So we always really do have everything we need within us.
Now that just kind of makes me think, there's a bigger plan there. Some of these obstacles are creating tools for us, like you described, that are going to be used in the future. So sometimes we're like, why is this? Why am I going through this? Ian, I'm thinking about your story. Wow, why if you hadn't gone through this, you wouldn't have the tools in the backpack that have allowed you to be a speaker, a coach, an owner of a gym, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of those things, none of those would have come about had you not developed that tool through the obstacles that you overcome and overcame. Right. That is awesome, right. Ian.
The so good. There is, John, is when you're in it, to be able to take a side step and realize that, right? Easier said than done, because when you're going through it, when you're going through the suck of that instance, it's really hard to say, this is happening for a reason. What can I learn from this? It's easier, hindsight is 2020, but that's the trick. If you can pause and say, if this is happening to me right now, how can I use this in the future? And if you're able to have that presence of mind, you can start to turn that situation around, because you are now shifting your mindset.
Love it.
Onto making life happen for you and not just allowing it to happen to you.
Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Before we go, we have a tradition here. We don't just talk about victories, we claim them, because when life gets hard, we rise, we face the obstacles, take action, and keep going. And around here, that spirit has a name: never give up. So wherever you are watching from today, I want to say to you, on three, we're going to say it together in 1, 2, 3. Never give up. I am John Merrill Kirkman. I thank Ian Bowen for joining us today on this episode of Roar. Never give up. Thank you, Ian Bowen, for joining us and adding your hope to the Roar Gallery, because the human race was never meant to be run alone. Hope is a team sport, and we never give up on each other. If you like this episode, please hit the like thumb button and please share with a friend and return often to get more inspiration for your journey. And we thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everybody.